Hey kids, welcome to the Capital Life Podcast. I am your host, Abby Pagud. This is where we talk about all the things that life brings, the good, the bad, and of course, the healthy. And today's episode is called You're Not a Broken Soul. And today we have a really exciting episode of Keeping It Real with Real People. And as we welcome my awesome friend and former co-host back in a past season, Miss Vera Thomas. Welcome to the Capital Life, Miss Vera.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is a great opportunity on a Saturday and it's cold.
I know. I'm in my Snuggies.
Yes, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad I got up and just for you.
And I'm so happy that you got up just for me too, especially just even having girl time, chat time. Anytime we are together, it was always kind of magical, and awesome, cool shit comes out of our mouth when we talk. So I just love that you are one of those passion people that open up the day with good intentions and even set it out for the world. Even, just even opening up our podcast today and opening up with a prayer and just setting intentions for the day is just such a blessing to always have you around. I thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited.
Thank you so much.
This episode of The Capital Life is brought to you by Riskwell. When it comes to protecting your business and investments, you deserve more than just a policy. You need a partner who understands the full picture. Riskwell offers comprehensive insurance and risk management solutions tailored to your unique needs. Whether you're a business owner or a real estate investor, they provide expert advice and resources to create a carefully designed insurance program that works for you. With Riskwell's 360 model, they maximize value and ensure the best possible experience, giving you peace of mind knowing you're covered from every angle. Let Riskwell help you protect what matters most so you can focus on what matters most. Riskwell, comprehensive coverage, unparalleled expertise. Let's face it, the world moves fast. Your growth and healing deserve a space that moves with you. That's why we started the Capital Community, a place for people who want to understand themselves more deeply and stay connected to their evolution. Each month, we explore the emotional and energetic pulse many of us are navigating, helping life make a little bit more sense. Inside the community, you'll also find guided meditations, reflections, and wellness insights that help you reconnect with your body and steady your mind. We bring in new voices and conversations that expand how we see ourselves, our health, and the world around us. And don't forget Soul Talks with Abby, where we open the wisdom window and explore real experiences together. Want to learn more about the Capital Community? Visit capitalhealth.com and explore the place where growth keeps unfolding. At just $26 a month, join the Capital Community, where wisdom grounds you and awareness helps you rise. Please like, share, and rate us on whatever platform you're listening. It's how we start to really spread the message of good in the world that needs it so much right now. If you find this helpful or insightful, don't forget to connect with us on Facebook and YouTube at Capital Health. That's KAPITOL Health. Also, visit us at capitalhealth.com and subscribe to our newsletter and get wicked awesome updates. So I'm very excited to have you on because a lot of people are not aware of the awesomeness of like what you are and what you possess. Like you are a speaker, you are a trainer, you are a poet, a podcaster, a TV host. Like you are just a exuberant amount of things. So it's very, you probably have the same difficult time I have where someone says, "Who are you? Tell me about yourself." And it's like, oh no, just here, scan this and read my bio because that's easier. So that ends up happening a lot. But I really am excited to have you on because I really wanted us to dive in and talk about how we're really not broken. Because I think, the themes that I've been really focusing on, especially for this month, is about new beginnings. It's about kind of doing a vibe check around and paying attention to what's going on, what's surrounding you, what is mere reflections of your own behavior, but also mere reflections of lessons that, God is wanting you to get rid yourself from, because we are such a force. We might even have internet issues because just a lot of power on one vibe can be a lot. I even have my kids are off of their electronics so that's wouldn't interfere. But if we do have times where we kind of like like our energy just overpowers, what we'll do is we just wait for the connection to come back, and then we'll kind of pick up, and then I'll edit out just to take out the clumps so that didn't work. So it'll be fine.
Okay.
But
okay.
That happens a lot. That does end up happening, especially with particular people that are on the show.
Interesting. That is so interesting.
Yeah. So like I found that when you have like some very like on me energetically in general, I end up wiping out like clocks, or I'll like be checking out at the grocery store and the machine will go shut down completely. And so that I just look at those as opportunities as, hey, we need to actually, I need quiet time. Apparently God wanted me to chill for a second. So then I just sit there and I like and relax. And then a lot of times the assistant or the representative will be like, I am so sorry. I don't know why this is happening. I'm like, it's fine. Like, apparently we both just needed some quiet time. It's all right.
That's amazing that you have that you are so in tune with your energy like that.
Yeah.
I never think in terms of that. That is amazing.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because one of the reasons why I bring it up is because it plays into the whole vibe check. So like with this month, we're really focusing on the new beginnings. We're focusing on paying attention to the vibes that are going on around you. We're paying attention to, are we getting mirror reflections of ourselves? Like, are we projecting ourselves onto other people and getting a mirror reflection back of our own behavior? Or are we not paying attention to the lesson? Like, do you have a tendency to bring certain people into your life and they have like a needy aspect, or they're always needing something from you, to the point where that was a lesson that God wanted you to learn to assert healthy boundaries, or wanted to help you rid yourself of certain characteristics that are allowing those types of people to walk into your life, right? So it's one of the things I always pay attention to is, how does that affect, like on my phone, it is notorious that I could have the ringers, everything on. My phone could not ring for 3 or 4 days. Like even when somebody called, because all of a sudden the ringer just shut off. And then all of a sudden it just starts ringing again. Or I could have a voicemail when somebody called me and I didn't get it for like a couple of days. Like, it is notorious that electronics shut down around me. And sometimes that is what happens when we have some very energetically cool people. I'm just saying. Okay. And so you and I might break this stuff. We're going to break the internet. We're going to break all the things. And if we do, we're just going to keep rolling, because nothing's going to stop us.
All right. But
I think it's really cool because I found a really cool quote for today's show. And it was that you're not a broken soul. You're a whole soul who's just feeling a little lost as you try a new path up the mountain. And I thought that was just a very great way to describe, our evolution of self. When we go through our life experiences, it's not about, owning what happened to us and carrying it with us the whole time. It's about, okay, accepting where we've come from. It's made us into the person that we are. And then we utilize those aspects to use as our determination to thrive and succeed and climb up to the next level, like to keep evolving in all that we're doing.
I agree. And what I want to say regarding everything you just said is, we go through things to gain strength, to gain courage, to become more confident, to be more understanding of who we are, and to understand also that it's not about others so much, but it's how we relate, react, and respond to the situations that happen in our lives, be good or bad. Right. And in my case, understanding that as a child, I can't carry the weight of any negativity that I might have experienced. I can look at the joy. I can look at the things that were positive. I can also feel the pain of the things that were not so, but
Right.
also understand, as Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission. Once
Right.
I learned that, then I also understood how to become more resilient, how to not allow other people to determine who I am.
Right.
And I want to say to our audience, you too understand the beautiful, resilient, awesome person that you are. No matter what you may have gone through, it is your past.
Right.
So don't look back, look forward.
Well, and it's interesting because, a lot of people I don't think know about some of the past and the history from which we've come from. And you and I have we have very similar past experiences, but at the same time, they're from different phases of our life, right? So, I was a child of domestic abuse. My dad was a narcissistic sociopath that tried to kill me twice. My mother was is bipolar, but she was a functional alcoholic because she didn't know she had bipolar. It was the 80s. They didn't have that readily diagnosed. So a lot of the medications were more like test trial medications. On top of it, the deranged relationship, the entanglement dynamic that my dad had over my mother really kept her from seeing the doctors that she was wanting to see, because she was getting self-awareness that there was something wrong and she wanted to fix it. I mean, it's not normal for you to go into the psych ward after both of your children are born. That's not, that is happens more nowadays because people are aware of postpartum depression. They're aware of those different things, but she was bipolar in conjuncture with possibly experiencing postpartum, right? So there was all these different dynamics that were happening. And instead, it was that thrived my dad's story to make him look even more incredible. My mom's struggles made him look better to be the better looking parent, to which then he got custody. And so then my sister and I were raised with that lunatic of a person and raised on eggshells. And so it was and that was quote normal upbringing to me. So it was that was not it was very being subjected to a whole bunch of things beforehand, on top of, suppressed memories that even now, I just turned 40 this year. And only a couple years ago, I started having images of, not being in a place in the house that I should have been in at a certain time of night. And I had no bit, so there was more grossness that was starting to my memory was finally starting to reveal to myself, because I'm finally, I'm in a safe place. What happens is you go through a lot of your struggles and sometimes you get through your survival mentality. But at the same time, sometimes your brain doesn't allow you to remember all the key components of what's happened in your trauma. And so then when you're finally in a safe place to where your body actually can heal and trust the environment to which you're in, that's when the memory starts unlocking. And then you start having some of these suppressed memories start coming back, and it's crazy, and what ends up happening to you through different phases after those experiences too, because then you even end up creating behavioral patterns because of the experiences that you had gone through. And it's our cells remember the trauma. Our cells do have a tendency to carry that with us. But if we don't provide that self-awareness to be able to say, oh, okay, when that person said that to me, I just got so enraged here. And right in my chest and in my heart, but what they said, that was a complete stranger, and that comment wasn't even insulting. Why did that get me so fired up? Right. So then it's looking into the internal of what that caused within you, then starts to help you. The first step is awareness. The second step is, do I need to do something with that awareness? Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's just acknowledging oh, that really bothered me. I'll have to think about that later. Where on the other side, you could say, I'm going to go home and journal about this and try to figure out I almost screamed at a lady at a grocery store for no reason. like,
And
you
see,
know,
yes, and in my case, when now my experience, I felt the same emotions, doubt, self-doubt, lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem that you probably felt. My circumstance was a little bit different,
mhm.
in that my we grew up in the church,
Okay.
and but there was still that verbal, mental, emotional, and physical abuse that I experienced as a child. And then I've also experienced some other abusive things, being involved in a domestic violent type marriage for three
Mhm.
years, having experienced rape, and then understanding that all that stuff, yes, you conjure up those thoughts about those things, but then you have to let them go, because
Yeah.
if you don't let them go, then they continue to control your life and your thoughts and your experiences. And so for me, again, that quote by Eleanor Roosevelt, no one can make me feel inferior without my permission,
Right.
that was a pivotal point in my life when I recognized that it doesn't matter what
Right.
other people say, think, feel, or even how they behave towards me. What matters is how I relate, react, and respond. And those are key things for me trying to get across to people at this point in my life. How
Well,
we
it's huge because I mean, a lot of times, especially today, everyone seems to try to be controlling everybody else's behaviors, belief systems, actions, anything, right? Like it's we've gotten into it's like we've taken 1,000 steps backwards
yes.
in like acceptance. It's almost like it's like
And
there's
it's going to get worse
yes,
if we don't take control.
if you
If
of
those of us of
ourselves, our
ourselves,
actions, yeah. And
right,
it's like our only thing that we can control is our reactions. Our emotions are our own. You have the right to feel what you're feeling, but what you do with those emotions, how you act with those emotions, that's where the control portion comes in.
right,
You don't have control over other people and how they're thinking, feeling, or doing. and
right,
and the fact that a lot of society now thinks like that's should be normal, or you should be able to do things with this group of people. It's like that's insanity. Like that is the ultimate, like, against God-given rights to humanity. Like you're not supposed to be doing those things. Now, like we have laws in place to get people so that they're not harming other people and not doing ill things. Those things need to be set in place. But the fact is, it's like we have to look at a lot of the healing starts with ourselves. And then the
absolutely.
choices that we make off of those feelings and those emotions. You know something? If you're listening to these conversations and thinking, yeah, I want more spaces like this in my life, that's exactly why we built the Capital Community. It's where we keep the conversations going, exploring the emotional and energetic pulse of life, sharing tools for growth, bringing in new perspectives, and opening up the wisdom window during Soul Talks with Abby. If that sounds like your kind of space, you can learn more about it at capitalhealth.com. It's the place where growth keeps unfolding. At just $26 a month, come join the Capital Community, where wisdom grounds you and awareness helps you rise.
Absolutely. And I do want to say, as we're talking about this, and as we're recognizing that the vitriol, the hatred, the dissension, the division, it may well continue, but we do not have to allow it to be so.
Right.
If we each look at ourselves individually, if we each shine that light that's within each of us, there can be no darkness. And even in the midst of all the stuff that's happening and that's going to happen, we do not have to allow hate and bitterness, jealousy, greed to impact us to the point where we are not healthy.
Right.
You know,
And that's what it's about. It's about health, right? It's about, the stress that's in our body causes inflammation that leads to disease and kills us from the inside out, right?
yeah,
Like that's like it's if you're harboring and suppressing emotions of your past, no matter, like, I'm not going to be the one to tell you what level of severity it was. Your intensity is your own. Like that is
right,
for you to
absolutely.
deal
It's
with.
relative, yes.
Yes, exactly. But I'm not going to tell you how to heal. I'm not going to tell you what you need to do to heal. But what I am going to say is don't suppress that shit, because it wears on you and then it comes out in different ways that you don't even realize. Like, it's notorious. Like, for the longest time, for example, I don't get facials often, but I do love them. Like, facials are fantastic. Everyone
Yes.
should be getting them every quarter at a minimum. I'm just saying, like, it's just good for your skin. It's good for it's all the vibes, right? And if you have an energy healer, like, person like I do, it's even better, because then you have all kinds of emotional shifting and like release, and it's awesome. But what I found interesting is, like, for years, like, I turned 40 this year. I
Happy birthday.
still had, well, thanks, but happy birthday to you, Miss 71, crazy lady that doesn't even look over 60, you crazy. So it's because of
Well,
all those
thank you.
facials. You get yourself facials. But so, like one of the things is like, I would love to be able to go in and do some self-care practices just to keep up with energy and all those types of things. But one of the ways that my dad had attacked me was by strangling my neck. And so when that happened to me, I think I was in fifth grade. And so, like, and it was in the back of a Kmart. Remember back in the day with the big old Kmart, whatever. And it was in the back alley. Like, it was in the back alley. I'd been accused of lying to him, which I still to this day did not. To this day, I don't even fib about, like, if the kids need a cookie from the pantry, sorry, kid, there's no, like, the cookies are in there. You had too much sugar. That's not a thing. A lot of moms will do the fubbing and be like, there aren't any more cookies. And then, like, I don't do that. Like, I don't fib. I don't lie. I don't deceive. It's against my moral coding. And a lot of it was ingrained in me because of that experience. Right. And it solidified those morals to me. But it was so interesting because, like, for the longest time, like, I don't wear chokers. I don't wear turtlenecks, those types of things. Like, I've always had issues. If you gave a kid a piggyback ride and they put their hands, I always had to make them grab my shoulders because I could not. All of that was an issue. I delayed years and years of doing starting a podcast, because I had issues with my throat chakra. Like, I had suppression of voice. I had so much trauma surrounding my neck and my throat, and being able to speak into my truth and all the things that were surrounding it, to the point where going into a facial of 6 months ago with my awesome energy healings facialist, she was so tremendous, because in that session, it released. Where normally I avoid certain types of touching because I know how I am about my neck. But because of all the work that I had been doing, because I have been able to get to a point of starting the podcast, working through all of these things, to be able to say the things I need to say without worrying about what everybody else is freaking thinking. And it's one of those things of, that being able to jump into, okay, that was a behavioral reaction. That is a physical response of protection for protecting myself. And so I had to be able to release that. And in that session, like, I mean, I went in for a facial last month, and sure enough, what ended up happening, she went straight in doing all the things. And that was the first time in my entire life that I can remember that I did not flinch or have any kind of involuntary reaction or tension, nothing.
And that brings your experience. I want to bring it back to how it can help our audience understand that when you suppress negativity and negative energies and past experiences, when you suppress those things, you are going to have physical implications from it. And in your
Absolutely.
case, when that choking experience left a physical condition that, thankfully, going through that facial therapy, which is
Mm-hmm.
what it was, facial
Really.
therapy,
Right.
it was able to release, and now you let it go. You have let
Mm-hmm.
it go, and now you're able to wear turtlenecks. You're able to do the things that you were not
Exactly.
able to do before. So I want to say to our audience, I want you to really be aware of the impact of holding on to things, one of which being unforgiveness.
Right.
When we hold on to unforgiveness, it impacts on us physically as well as emotionally and spiritually. So being able to forgive the hurts, the abuse, the things that have happened, the behaviors against us, being able to forgive. I remember one of my relatives, very close to me, I didn't speak to them for a whole year because of the hurt that I felt. And I had to go through a forgiveness process in
Right.
order to forgive. And I thank God that I was able to do that. And the impetus of it was my son wanted a birthday party and he wanted her to be there.
Oh gosh, it's
And at
always
this,
the kids that fix everything,
and
even when we're not ready. Like,
yes, but at that time I was also going through a forgiveness training at my church, on how to forgive.
interesting how the timing works out on
I
that,
know
isn't it?
it was perfect timing, and even more so when and this is one of the tools that I use. And so for those of you that are struggling with unforgiveness and not being able to forgive, you might want to start by first, what I did was I asked, what did I do to you
Hmm.
to cause this? And there was no response. And then
Because
I
usually there isn't. There
but
isn't usually a reason to
well
why, like,
and then
there.
yes, and then I said, well, I don't know what I did, but whatever I did, I ask your forgiveness. And I want you to know that I forgive you.
Right.
And then when I did that, they apologized, still not knowing, all the intricacies of why, but the apology made a difference.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
was
the
able,
apology is there's so much that goes into just the process of forgiving and the process of apologies. And, it's like, you said it so well earlier about how it wasn't allowing, your feelings, when your feelings are coming up, you don't allow anyone to make you feel inferior to what that is. It's like you're surrendering that allowance to it. When I look at sometimes, when we're dealing with a lot of our internal struggle, it can make us feel so crappy on the inside, to which then our behavior sometimes can reflect that. I had to get to a point where it was like, I don't want to treat people how I feel on the inside,
absolutely.
and like, especially the ones that I love. And so I would protect the people around me so they would never feel those emotions, but then would still be having them inside and not processing through, like, and this is talking years of working, and I am a person that is self-reflecting. I do journal I do check in with myself on a regular. I have since early years. But it was like the transition of healing is such a lifelong
It
process.
is.
And a
It
lot of
is.
people don't realize that just because you get out of the muck, does it, and then you might have done some of your therapy and healing or whatever immediately after, there's
It's
still stuff that
ongoing.
comes up throughout the years.
It's
And it's not
ongoing.
exactly. And it's like, and being able to identify when that comes up, but also jumping into, like what you said, of forgiving yourself, but also forgiving those around you. A lot of people are doing the best they can with what they know. and what they know is, their own past experiences, their behavioral reactions from their traumas, et cetera, et cetera. You do have, there are a small percentage of people that are just cretinous people that, and I'm not a big believer on lost causes. But there's a small percentage of people where it's like, I don't have the ability or the power to heal that small percentage of cretinous people. Like,
well,
those
first
are
of all,
that's a totally different, that's evil on a whole nother level.
in order for someone to be healed, they have got to want to be healed.
Exactly.
We have a portion of our society across the board that is so enveloped in hate and that negative energy. And when you consider the 64% of adults who have unresolved issues, it stems from childhood.
Yeah.
Many of these people are just caught up in their past of hate, and hurt people,
Yeah.
And you got these people that just have all this stuff, but I guarantee you, I promise you, every one of them have some kind of physical and or mental illness.
Absolutely. Well, technically, I mean, really, we're all kind of on a spectrum of some kind of.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, and
because of the trauma that everybody has experienced.
Exactly. I mean,
in this country,
PTSD
it's real.
Like, everywhere. All of us have PTSD. Like, we have different levels of it. But it's like, people for some reason think that PTSD has to come from like war, or it has to come from like abuse, or it has to come from like a specific experience. And it's like, no, that is not. It is what causes that stress response that keeps you in that pivotal. Now, there's different severity levels of PTSD where, it's like, okay, you might have some where they're having panic attack. Like, that's what PTSD is, a panic attack. When you have a war vet that is coming back and you're having them have huge episodes of PTSD, that is a panic attack. That is a panic attack from the trauma to which, and that keeps them in this state of fight or flight response. That's what you're witnessing. There's just massive variations of the intensity of PTSD.
Let me give an example of
love for you,
I had PTSD. When I was in Georgia, I was never stopped so much by police in my life.
Wow.
Then those few months, I was there for 5 years, and it felt like, so whenever there was a police car behind me, yes, I would panic. Because it was happening just so much. And I'm like, oh my God.
And it creates a behavioral condition so that when a police officer is even talking to you, you're on the defense. And then they see you being on the defense. So then they assume that something is not right or off balance, as if you've done something wrong. And it's like, no, it's because you keep getting fucking pulled over all the time. Why? Why did I need to be pulled over? I remember when my husband got pulled over, I was so mad because I was pregnant at the time. We lived in Arizona. I was having a craving for a milkshake of some kind. I don't even remember if it was Jack in the Box or wherever the hell we were. And so, of course, it's like 11 o'clock at night. It's like 10:45, 11 o'clock at night. So what does my good husband do? He's like, oh, my woman wants a milkshake. She's pregnant. Hell yeah, I'm getting her a fucking milkshake. So he goes out to go get a milkshake. That man was gone for an hour and a half. It's down the street. Like, where the hell have you been? It's only a half mile. Like, I don't understand why that would take you an hour and a half. Like, I was mad. Like, I clearly wanted my milkshake. Well, as I'm like just pacing the house, like, where is my milkshake? Because this was, not, cell phones were not by our hip then, right? So like, you sat there and waited, and then you got mad. And so then you're stewing. No, he had pulled out of our neighborhood. Police pulled him over right away. And then he has a ranger tab because he was, Army Ranger during Desert Storm. So he's got his veteran stuff like on the car or whatever. They pull him over. asks for his license. He complies, does all the things. They proceed to make him get out of the car and walk a line as if he was drunk because it was 10:45 and he's like, no, I'm going to get my wife a milkshake. She's pregnant, yada, yada, yada. And they basically made him do an entire DUI testing as if like something was wrong, which of course he passed. They laughed in his face that he was when they asked about the Ranger tab on the car, and he said that it was him, and they laughed in his face and was like, yeah, right. And then proceeded to basically interrogate the crap out of him. And then finally they let him go. And then he came home with my milkshake. Thank God he didn't get the milkshake after. I would have been even more pissed because then it would have been melted. And then I probably would have gone down to the police and chewed some people out. But I probably should have. But it's like there was so many different things. Like I can totally understand like that experience in itself would make him untrustworthy towards policemen. But that is not how we are with policemen. We respect them. They are serving our community. It is not, and then the question is, who the hell trained those asshats to be corrupted and like biased? Like I believe that police should actually be filtered out of environments like communities. Like they should have them shuffle around and serve different communities so that they don't get stigmatized into a one mentality or one approach. Like don't go into communities and like have generic biased assumptions of people in general. Like as soon as the police are starting to have that, that's where there's therapy and trauma needing to be healed. What happened to the police officer that's causing them to treat people like that in the first place? Like, why is that going on? Like, put them through an intensive program to get them to a point where they're actually treating humans like humans and getting back to the reason why they wanted to be a police officer in the first place, which was to help people.
Right. But we need to do that across the board. We need to not only police, but people in general. We all need to be more empathetic, more understanding, more open to change, diversity, and those kinds of things.
Let's face it, the world moves fast. Your growth and healing deserve a space that moves with you. That's why we started the Capital Community, a place for people who want to understand themselves more deeply and stay connected to their evolution. Each month, we explore the emotional and energetic pulse many of us are navigating, helping life make a little bit more sense. Inside the community, you'll also find guided meditations, reflections, and wellness insights that help you reconnect with your body and steady your mind. We bring in new voices and conversations that expand how we see ourselves, our health, and the world around us. And don't forget Soul Talks with Abby, where we open the wisdom window and explore real experiences together. Want to learn more about the Capital Community? Visit capitalhealth.com and explore the place where growth keeps unfolding. At just $26 a month, join the Capital Community, where wisdom grounds you and awareness helps you rise. Well, and I the one thing that I find really interesting is like, I was talking with somebody the other day because I was really talking about how, like pressures really shape and mold us into what we are. Like sometimes I was talking with a girlfriend of mine and we were talking about, how you can't control how people are, but at the same time, you also can't always dive in and rescue people. Like I have a tendency where I will go 75% of the effort because I'm compassionate, because I care. But in turn, if that individual doesn't even meet me 25%, I don't want to have to deal with them because it's like the least you could have done was 25%. Well, how about we evaluate it and say, why am I doing the extra 25%? How is that doing a disservice to the individual? Because they might need to feel some of the pressure. They might need to go through some of the emotions to get them where they need to be, to get them motivated, to get them moving, right? It's like if we end up coddling to people all the time, what ends up happening? We end up creating a massive generation of entitlement. And then we have way bigger problems on our hands. Like when you've gone through some very severe, intense experiences in your life, we're not getting hung up on some of the nitty-gritty subjects that a lot of kids are complaining about today. Like it doesn't exist because we're like, oh, I'm too busy. I've got things to do. Like we've moved, evolved from that. We're not having some of those emotional distractions. And I feel like sometimes it's sharing our life experiences. Like my kids, we have a very open dialogue in our house. My kids know of our past. They don't know all of the details. If they ask, we're happy to share them. Like, and it's occasionally my daughter will sit down with my husband and I, and she will ask questions.
How old is your daughter?
She's 16.
Okay.
So in my youngest is 8. And so we don't really go into nitty gritty detail with that. But at the same time, he is aware, like when we are dealing with him, learning how to process through his feelings and like what's a healthy form of anger. And, like it's not about like, hey, you are allowed to be upset. You have the right to your feelings. It's about what you do with those feelings on the outside. Like you don't use your feelings to go and do harm to other people. Like if you need to remove yourself and have some quiet time to yourself, then go ahead and do so. But, like you don't have like a temper tantrum on the way to get to that quiet time. Like there's different ways to be able to mindfully control your emotions and your reactions and things around you. But like at the same time, there will be moments where I call them, the fun teaching moments, where when he is upset about something or he's having a hard time understanding either an emotion that I might be going through or my husband might be going through, I might have to say, hey, buddy, mommy and daddy didn't have necessarily the happy childhood experience. Like we had issues with, or like I had issues with my dad, or I had issues about this. And then that's one of the reasons why, dad and I might do something a different way. And then he starts learning a little bit about that. But it's inviting him to the conversation to understand why we are the way that we are, or how we are the way that we are. And it's not necessarily opening him the big cat, like all the worms in the jar and just exposing all the skeletons in the closet. It's about just inviting him to understanding, hey, mommy really doesn't like it when you come up behind me and scare me. Like that's not a thing. Like I know it's a lot of fun for you and I know that you're really great at it, but like I cannot necessarily control how I will involuntarily react. Like, and I would really like to not turn around and accidentally punch you in the face. Like, just don't do it. So it's kind of like one of those things where, we have to, it's like some of the emotions or where something puts us sometime, or if you're having a hard day, communicating where you're at and how you're getting through it. And what's amazing is because of that, my son has been able to have, even at the early years of 8, been able to have very amazing conversations with me that a lot of times I wouldn't even get until the teen years, because, teen and adult years is when a lot of kids come back and say, hey, mom, when you did X, that actually really hurt my feelings. Or when you say, what's wrong with you or something, like that actually makes me feel like there is something wrong with me. So it could be the phrasing to which someone might have heard something and you didn't know how it was processed. A lot of us don't even get the voice or the words or even the capacity to be able to share how those things affected us until we're much older. So I try to really bring that into conversation very early in my kids' lives so that they can talk to us about what they want to, but also be selective on who they talk to. Because, I'm their mom. I'm not always going to be the one they want to go to. Like they're going to want to talk to other people. And I would hope that they would feel that they can open up and talk to other people whenever it is that they're feeling something, instead of suppressing it and shutting it down and having it eat at them and then affect their behavior later.
In listening to everything you said, it brings me to talk about parental styles. And what you just displayed is like the authoritative parent, which allows the child to express, which is so important. And for you to be able to get them in tune with who they are and what they're feeling and how they can react, relate, respond differently
Hmm.
That kind of relationship comes from being open and communicating with your children. But there are other styles that parents are exhibiting that can, like you said, the coddling of your children. When we coddle our children or other people, we are not giving them the opportunity to truly be who they can be.
Right.
And you have parents that are the permissive parent, which wants to be their child's best friend, and therefore
Ugh.
they're going to do what their children want them to do. They don't want to up rock the cradle,
Right. They
and
want to be their best friend and they want to have a
right.
buddy. And that's great.
And in
But
many
no.
cases, um, they have limited boundaries, or they may have boundaries, but they're not consistent with those boundaries. And as a result of that, they raise kids that are not disciplined, that are not do not handle authority very well. You've also got the neglectful parent, which could be in the house, like you were mentioning earlier about the parent that doesn't have time for their kids because they're so consumed with their own lives that
Yeah.
their children are basically fending for themselves. And
Right.
that can cause all kinds of problems. It can also cause children to look for love in all the wrong places. You've also got the authoritarian parent. And I think both of us were raised by an
Yeah.
authoritarian parent. And it
My dad
was,
was definitely an authoritarian
right,
parent for
do as
sure.
I say, and
Yeah.
you do it because I said so, and
Yeah.
all those kinds of things.
Well, because if you
And
didn't, your ass was grass. So, like,
absolutely,
like hell freaking yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. So children from authoritarian parents become fearful, become
Mhm.
depressed, become lack confidence and self-esteem. And oftentimes they too will look for love in all the wrong places. And so being able, and oftentimes parents, when you've gone through stuff yourself and you have not resolved your own issues, it makes it very difficult to teach what you don't know and to give what you don't have.
Right.
So it's important for parents to be able to look, for all of us, not just parents, but individuals, look at ourselves, look at treating people the way we want to be treated, not how we may have been treated, but how we want to be treated. And if you don't understand how you want to be treated, then that self evaluation and assessment and looking at what are your values, what are your beliefs, what are my boundaries, what
Yeah.
will I accept and what will I not accept. And that comes actually from your own experiences as a child or
Yeah.
in an abusive situation. Know what your boundaries are and
Yeah.
teach your children boundaries as well.
Well, and I love that you said that because, a lot of people don't even know what it is that they need or what they're wanting. Because, it's like sometimes it's like when they look around, it's like life just happened. Like one minute they were, leaving the house and they were going to school and then they graduated, they got married, and then there's kids and then they're raising the kids. And then, like midlife comes around, the kids are leaving the house and they haven't even asked. They don't even know how they feel because they've been so busy in the doing. Like so much of life is about the doing, and I respect that. Like that makes us some badass women. I'm just saying, like we get shit done. Like we know how to do our stuff. But one of the things that we sometimes, and I think all of us are kind of creatures of habit, is do we check in with ourselves enough to actually ask, like, what are we needing? Like, is it like sometimes it's just having 10 minutes of quiet. Like, I know that sometimes my brain will be going through so many different things that I have going on for the day, on top of the fact that I end up jumping into, like doing my mom thing because I've got, I still got young kids in the house, and then I've got the dogs, and I've got my mom, and I have all these different things. But it's like, then when I come home, I feel like my ears can just be like, it's like I was at a concert all day. Well, it's because my mind is overloaded. And then it's like, that is the time where I say, I need 10 minutes to decompress to put on like either a guided meditation or just sit in silence before I make dinner. Like, that's just what I need to do. And so I will take that time. And my kids, I will let them know, okay, mommy needs 10 minutes before she can make food. Like, I need like 10 minutes of quiet. And then they're like, okay. And then they go and do their thing and it's not an issue. But it's like, it's identifying what it is that we need, but being able to have the awareness and the ability to be able to produce that for ourselves. Because if we don't do that and we don't internally check in, we're not even going to be aware of what's going on and how our behavior or how it's affecting other people around us. And the fact is, everything we do ends up affecting somebody. Even if you're at the grocery store and you just walk past somebody like and smiled, or, you know, you an engagement at checkout, you know, like we impact each other in so many different ways that we underestimate our impact. And we need to start actually realizing, what is it that we're wanting? What kind of impact do we want to make in the world? What do we need to heal within ourselves so that we can actually start creating that impact that we want in the world?
I want to sum up what you just said with a poem. And I want to start by asking the question. If I were to say to you, close your eyes and tell me how many windows you have in your living room. With your eyes open, you can see those windows, right?
Right.
If you can see your windows, you can see your life. See the windows in any room with eyes open wide or shut tight. See the quality of your living by what you do or say. Do you see happiness or gloom in the life you live today? Are the clouds of despair the only thing you see? Do you wonder, who cares to come and rescue me? If you can see your windows, you can see your life. You can change clouds to sunshine by doing what you feel is right. See the rainbows in your life, fleeting moments in your day. See the beauty you can find in what you do or say. We are what we think about every day. We live by faith, fear, or doubt, believing life is but one way. We can think ourselves into happiness, misery, or pain by seeing what we stand to lose or seeing what we stand to gain. If you can see your windows, you can see your life. Awareness is the key. You have the control. You can see your life bright. So let me ask you, audience, how do you see your life? In having the conversations that we've had here today, how do you see your life? How do you see your life as a parent? How do you see your life in your work? How do you see your life as a person, as an individual? Do you like what you see? Or is there something better that you'd like to see? Is there a gap in between? If so, you might want to come talk to me and let's have a conversation and look at, how do you see your life? How do you want to see your life? What is that gap? And what do you need to do to move from what you see right now to what you want to see in your future? And you can do that by going to bit.ly/Vera Thomas. And
I'm so, like, you just summarized that so good. I was like, and close out. I was like, ta-da, wrap it up, Vera. Like, you're always doing that. How can our audience get a hold of you if they want, like, what is your contact info? How can they find you, like your YouTube? Because I know you do your Vera Thomas show, which is fantastic. But just because you just showed us your wild, awesome energy, I really want to make sure my listeners can find you.
Well, actually, you can find me on LinkedIn, Instilling Greatness, Vera Thomas, or Facebook. My personal pages, and I know I need to pull them all together so they're all saying the same, but right now they don't. So
it's okay. We're always a work in progress. We clearly discussed that this afternoon.
Yeah. So you can reach me at vera.thomas.779. That's my personal Vera Thomas address, or you can email me at instillinggreatness1117 at gmail.com. Instillinggreatness1117 at gmail.com. Those are the ways that you can reach me. Or you can reach me on, LinkedIn, Facebook. I am on Instagram, but my Instagram was hacked, so I don't have many followers or anything right now. So you can't follow me on Instagram. You can't follow me.
It happened to me with my Twitter X account or whatever the hell they call it now. And I had it, and it drives me crazy with like something that's so simplistic and it's just a social account. And then hacking it, like, what do you get out of that? Like, what was the point of doing that? What was the point of having that? And then it was like strange because it was like all of a sudden my profile picture, but I didn't go on it that often. So I guess and then there all of a sudden started being all these monster Bitcoin ads and whatever. Right. So but I just don't like it because then it's like you have to start over and then it's a big thing. And then you're like, why do I even really want to start another account? I wasn't on there that much to begin with anyway.
Right. So, and you can also check me out on TikTok.
Awesome. And on TikTok. Look at you, Miss 71, and like strutting some TikTok.
Yes, I do.
Girl.
So anyway, thank you so much for having me here. It's been an honor.
You just are just a breath of fresh air. You are amazing. And I always love the time that we get to share with each other.
Well,
so thank you for being on and sharing your awesome wisdom with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. God bless. And looking forward to doing some more things together.
Yes, absolutely. We will definitely be calling you back to be on the show again. So you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, and I'll see you in a little bit.
Yes, you too.
Thanks for joining me today on The Capital Life, where we talk about all the things. Join me next time as we take a moment or two. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube and Facebook at Capital Health. That's KAPITOL Health. Please share with your friends and family. The Capital Life is available on all podcasting platforms except Pandora. Our goal at The Capital Life is to provide a safe place to get information when it comes to your health and wellness, especially when dealing with all of life's phases. Remember to take care of yourself because you're somebody's everything.